Welcome to Citizen Live at 1. I'm Julie Gishu. Former Education Permanent Secretary Professor George Godia has once again joined government, this time as President Kenyatta appoints him to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Godia's appointment, announced this morning, is part of changes by the President aimed at enhancing service delivery.
Professor George Godia bounces back to government after staying out since President Kenyatta appointed his cabinet, leaving him out. He will now represent the country at the UNESCO, being the latest appointee in Kenyatta's latest rearrangement. Yesterday, National Intelligence Service boss Michael Gishangi threw in the towel, but will serve until his replacement is found. The president also made changes in several portfolios. Dr. Monica Juma takes Mutai Ringo's docket in the Ministry of Interior, as Ringo replaces her in the Ministry of Defense. Patrick Omutia goes to the Ministry of Mining as Richard Etai Titus takes the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Arts. Mwanamaka Amani Mabruki is the new Devolution Ministry PS, taking up John Conchella's position, who now moves to the Department of East African Community. Dr. Khadija Kasachon will now serve in the Ministry of Health as Fred Segor takes up the Department of Livestock. Key political allies of President Kenyatta have also found their way to government as ambassadors. Robinson Gidai is the new ambassador for Kenya to Washington, D.C., Shirao Ali Mwakwere, Dar es Salaam, Kiama Kilonzo Ankara Taki, and Samondeli Habitat. The president says there will be more changes in government as he seeks to enhance service delivery. Ken Nagol, Obadia Citizen at 1.
The Senate Committee on Health has been in Mombasa County this week investigating claims that a lead plant in Owino Uhuru Estate has caused deaths. The residents claim that toxic lead poisoning has killed workers in the plant and has caused illness, especially among children. And Mawade has more on this story.
Owino Uhuru Estate has an explosive secret, one that residents are forced to muffle by what they claim are powerful forces behind a battery recycling plant that had been set up here. For years, they have suffered in silence.
Hapo mtoto alipatikana ana liti ya 26 ambayo si vizuri kwa mwanadamu, yanatakana awe na 9.0. Ambapo mtoto niliporudi naye hapa mtaani, nikakaa na mtoto karibu mwaka mmoja. Mtoto sioni mabadiliko yoyote. Mtoto anasiti kukua. Niliporudisha mtoto kwa utafiti wa 3, mtoto alipatikana ana 32 ambaye inasiti kupanda.
Mambo ya meno yangu ilikuja ikaanza kunyuma. Sasa nikawa nafikiria labda ni maradhi ya kawaida. Lakini nilipompatia daktari akaniambia kuna kitu unavuta sigara. Nikamwambia nilikuwa nikivuta lakini majana. Akaniambia lakini kuna kitu inasababisha meno yako na itazidi kutoka. Hivi unavyoniona nimetoa meno 9. Na hata jana pia nilishinda kitandani hata ndugu mashai kuna nyingine pia 10 inaanza kunyu. Kwa hivyo hiyo moshi inachangia.
For their grievances, the Senate Health Committee was in Mombasa grilling the National Environment Management Authority officials on why such a smelter was put up in the area.
That company is not supposed to operate. It does not meet the standards both of public health and the NEMA.
The county executive in charge of health and the chief officer have undertaken to actually ensure that they conduct samples and find out what they will, how many of these people are affected.
It is expected that the Health Committee will complete its investigations and chart a way forward for the residents of Owino Uhuru, who not only want compensation for all of their losses, but also demand an explanation as to how a lead plant, whose health implications are known, could have been set up in their neighborhood. For Citizen Live at 1, I am Anne Mawathe.
Denmark's development corporation body Danida has pledged 110 million shillings to finance a poverty mitigation project in northern Kenya. Danida will work closely with Kenya's Ministry of Environment, Water and Natural Resources and is targeting marginalized communities.
Through the Kenyan government, Dadina seeks to mitigate the impact of climate change on pastoral communities in arid lands in northern Kenya.
And the support to management plant raising is not only about climate resilience, healthier ecosystems, and available grass, it's also about improving livelihoods of pastoralist communities and improving security through the reduced conflicts that we already have seen the result of.
Dadina will provide 110 million Kenya shillings to support a project that aims to impact livelihoods in northern region, including teaching pastoralists on ways of adapting to climate change and reducing conflict that arise from access to grazing land and water resources. The project currently covers a population of over 110,000 people. Speaking in Samburu, Environment, Water and Natural Resource Cabinet Secretary Judy Wahungu said the project is a major boost to the country's economy.
Through the NRT, the community is also able to get markets for their livestock. Women are now the experts when it comes to pasture and grass management. And that is knowledge that they can actually now capture and share with other communities.
The partnership seeks to train and mentor the population on the best conservation methods. Morgan Mweke, Citizen, Live at Once.
A great initiative, and we stay with Samburu now. Residents of the county have something else to smile about as they received 200 goats of quality breed. Officials say that the Somali breed of goats is drought resistant and can produce more milk and quality meat than local breeds. Let's have a look.
Mbuzi itabadilika. Sasa tumepata ile mbuzi ambayo tulikuwa tunataka kutoka nchi ya Somalia huko, ambayo kila siku inasemekana iko maziwa nyingi, iko na nyama, iko na kilo, iko na kila kitu. Kwa hivyo nafikiri tukifuga msuri miaka 3 ama 4 ijayo tutakuwa na aina nyingine ya mbuzi ambayo tutafurahia kabisa.
Well, a 43-year-old man from Mugomoini in Kiharu constituency, Murang'a County, is recovering in hospital after his manhood was chopped off by a friend. According to the police, the man was attacked by his friend after a drinking spree. Mike Jenga has the details.
They say that the wages of gin is breath, but for John Shege, that will always remain as that, just the same. For him, the wages of gin saw him lose his private parts. Shege stares into the ceiling, trying to figure out just what turned his drinking buddy into an animal that ruthlessly pounced on him and chopped off his manhood. According to the 43-year-old, he was walking home in the evening after a drinking spree when he was accosted by the culprit who thoroughly battered him before chopping off his private parts with a sharp object and fled, leaving him for the dead. But according to Shege, the two had quarreled earlier on at a drinking joint after the suspect demanded to be bought for a drink, but Shege declined, stirring a bitter exchange of words, but nobody thought the argument would lead to a revenge mission. Confirming the incident, Muraradia Deputy County Commissioner Edward Ngoko said that the assaults took place near Mugumoini Secondary School in Madariti village as the victim was walking home.
Police are trying to investigate what actually happened on that particular time, because when you come barabara katikati sio kwa boma, so how we need to come up na ufike mpaka kwa barabara na huyo afanyiwe hiyo kitendo kwa barabara, it's not yet clear.
According to the doctor attending to the victim at the male patient's ward in Muriranja's Level 4 hospital, Dr. Mboro Cairo, the patient underwent an emergency surgery to save his life, though he needs to go through another surgery, given that his private parts have been completely chopped off.
There was a linear injury at the mid-penile shaft, but the urethra was intact. So we've done a surgical toilet successfully, and the patient is in stable condition as we are speaking.
The suspect has been arrested and is being held at the Murang'a police station, waiting to be arraigned in court on Monday. Michael Njenga, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Shocking story, really. Now, with respect to health services in the country, the focus over the past few days has certainly been Ebola and how to ensure that we are ready if in the event that it comes into the country, but also the strikes in certain counties, Mombasa and Kisumu, threatened strikes by nurses. But there are other things happening, and we're happy to have in studio with us Dr. Michael Gishangi, who joins us from the Ministry of Health. He's the head of the Ophthalmic Services Unit, that is eye care. And it's great to have you with us to tell us what's going on, progressive things. But before we go to that, I've just mentioned the issues that really have taken the attention of the nation, and Ebola certainly is something causing a bit of concern here in Kenya. WHO saying, of course, we must be mindful Kenya is a hub. Are we prepared in the event that Ebola does come into Kenya? Your thoughts?
Thank you. I would like to say that the Ministry of Health at the national level, as the Director of Medical Services previously mentioned, is on high alert, and we have put in systems to see that in the event that we have an occurrence, then we'll be able to handle it and also prevent the spread of Ebola into the other part of the country. In a nutshell, the Ministry is on high alert, and it is prepared to handle in the unlikely event of Ebola.
Okay, so it's good to hear that. I know many people worried about that. We'll be keeping our eye on the Ebola story. So we go now to the question of eye care in the country. And we've seen many cases, for instance, of people who have what could have been preventable blindness. There's been very little attention on eye care. What's going on now to change that situation?
Let me first say that among the most feared situations, you fear death, then you fear cancer, then blindness comes third. Now, blindness is a public health problem, and most of the causes of blindness are preventable. 80% we say of blindness is avoidable. You don't have to be 80%. Now, in most developing countries, in Kenya, we say that blindness is a public health problem, that we need to do a lot to see that nobody lives with blindness, because this is something that is avoidable. If I were to go into the numbers, about 250,000 Kenyans are blind, and another
250,000.
Yes, that's about
a large number.
Yeah, they are blind, and remember I said 80% of
it's preventable.
It's preventable. Among the leading cause of blindness would include things like cataract, which is related to age, and other diseases like glaucoma, which comes again with age. Some of these diseases, if identified early, like glaucoma, it is possible to arrest progression to blindness. Diseases like cataract is a white patch on the eye, which comes among the elderly people. If you are able to access eye care services, which again, as I will say in a few minutes, is available within most government facilities, we are able to restore your sight.
Let me ask this. Which government facilities? A lot of people might be watching saying, where can I access in my region?
I can state with confidence that literally in about 40 out of 47 counties, we have basic eye care services going on. And talking of basic eye care services as services that there is somebody who is able to make a diagnosis and refer, or make a diagnosis and treat. And some of the specific treatment include surgical procedures. And most of the district hospitals or county hospitals are able to provide that.
Let's talk about costs for a minute. What happens when somebody cannot afford it but knows that they could be going blind?
Within our system, we have made sure that nobody lives with blindness if the service is available. We either use the government waiver system or look for partnerships to support people who cannot afford eye care services. But we have a policy that nobody should live with blindness.
Nobody should live with blindness. That's what our guest says. Very important for you to know this and to take note. On Sunday, we hosted Daddy Owen, who was telling us more about this program. And we had very many people SMSing in and telling us of situations where they lost sight in one eye or in both. And for many, it seemed it was preventable. And the message you're giving now is you don't have to live with that. You do have the right to claim treatment.
That is true.
Okay. Give us a contact. If in the event that they're having challenges with hospital, how can they reach you?
I would say that if you get contact to the specific government hospitals, if I say Thika District Hospital, Malanga District Hospital, Sierra District Hospital, the hospital administration should be able to give guidance. There's always a focal person with respect to eye care in all the county health facilities.
I'm going to push and ask, if people are not assisted because of the SMSs we saw, where do they go next?
Of course, at the national level, we are able also to, provide guidance, and I think we can always be contacted at the national level.
We will get your contacts before you leave, and we will share them with you on the screen. Tell us about the partnership that is ongoing between the Ministry of Health and the Fred Hollows Foundation.
Before I get to that, I talked about two disease entities. There are many others, which include a group of diseases for children, which we call childhood eye diseases. And for children are very special to us, and we tell the public when you see something not usual, let the mother or the guardian present the child to a health
give us some indications. What kinds of things?
For example, if a young child, a small child, you see a white patch in the eye, or you see that the eyes are crossed, or you see that there's anything unusual, the black is supposed to be black, the white is supposed to be white. That is normal, and the eyes are supposed to be straight.
Right.
Now, if you see anything deviating from that, especially for children, because children, the earlier they come to us, the better. If they come to us slightly later, sometimes we are not able to restore as much sight as it would have been possible if we did that earlier. And we are working together with the maternal child health clinics, to see that even the health workers there are able to facilitate that.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so if you see anything with your child, please go in and get the child checked. Don't wait.
Yes,
Thank you.
That's a message. Yeah. Now, with respect to what we are doing with our partners, we have some group of partners, and the reason why it's good to join the partnership in blindness prevention is that the results of the investments are great, because I put in some money, treat somebody who is blind, I change him from being dependent to independent, being productive. A situation where somebody is blind, in our culture and what we have seen is that an adult is left with a child to take care. Then there is that blind person, and then somebody will go and earn a living to take care of the three of them. So it means that eventually you're not as economically productive. So investment in blindness prevention are very cost effective and have high return. We are partnering with partners like Fred Hollows Foundation, Sight Savers, Operation Eyesight, including the Lions, in ensuring that people are able to get eye care services. We are with Fred Hollows in the western part of Kenya, and Sight Savers in the northern lift. We try and see where different partners could work with us. But the government is still on the lead, and with corporate partners.
All this is, I guess, in line with the health policy. But does the health policy now need to be broken down into the different sectors? For instance, now have an eye care policy, have a cancer policy, is that the next step?
What we do, that's correct. What we do is that when we develop the national health policy, I, as the lead person in the eye care, will extract what are the issues in the national health policy that need to be addressed from eye care point of view and contribute to health for all, best attained standard of health for all.
Okay, so that's what you're doing at the
That's what
moment.
we are doing.
Before we close the interview, I have to ask the question, seeing the different strikes ongoing, for instance, and the challenges of national level, county level management of the health systems, how are you coping? You're saying now we're offering these services, but how do you offer them in such a difficult environment?
First, I'll say that these challenges we're experiencing and we work through them have come about the transition from the military state to devolved state, and we are supposed to devolve over a period of time. These are problems we are seeing in time that a number of issues have not been addressed properly, moving from national to county and county to national and county to county and so forth. We are dealing with them as they come, and we will continue addressing them over the period of time stipulated for devolution. And I think we are making some steps. Though we are still getting into challenges, but we are making some steps forward.
Thank you. Very optimistic. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, we shouldn't be shaking hands because they're saying now with Ebola, don't shake hands, don't hug. But thank you so much for joining us in studio. It's been a pleasure. We hope you got some tips there, some important tips. Don't wait. Go and get your eyes checked if in doubt, and also find out in the hospitals near you, do they have an eye care wing? Ensure that if you do have a problem, you find out about your treatment, because we are told you should be able to get treatment. There is a possible waiver of a fee if you need urgent treatment. So thank you so much, Dr. Gishangi, for joining us. We're taking a break on Citizen Live at 1. Stay with us, though.